Namaste, my friends. Welcome back. This is session 6, the Asana sequence. Now, the theme of today's class is reinforcement. Now, it's important whenever we have anything that we want to do in the world, whether we have an intent, a desire, something that we want to reach out for and grasp or create or get for ourselves or to share or create. Anytime we want to do anything in the world that we notice when we've, say, strayed from that path. Let's say I've got a final tomorrow, and I'm studying for the final, and then I notice that I'm no longer studying for the final. No, instead, I've been watching TV for the last 4 hours, 5 hours, and now it's 2 in the morning, and I'm reading a book. Oh no, right? I'm procrastinating. Now, generally, there's a tendency to, when we notice that, say we're procrastinating or we're not doing what we think we should, that we get down on ourselves. Fall into these cycles of self-recrimination, self-judgment. And what this does is this makes it so that the recognition of of having strayed from your intent is kind of buried even more under the unconscious. It's buried under these layers of self-recrimination. You don't want to feel bad. We're simple creatures. You don't want to feel bad, so you just ignore the fact that you're making yourself feel bad. So instead, what we're going to do is recognize positively. When you recognize that you've strayed from doing what you think is good, feel good about having recognized it, and then gently allow yourself to come back to center. Now, this class is about movement. It's about developing the capacity to move in different ways. It's about becoming comfortable in slightly different situations and truly embracing the capacity to move forward. Now, again, this is a very beginner level version of this class, and in the more advanced stages, you would begin. You would be perhaps even doing weights. You'd be doing more dynamic exercises, but we're starting very slow at this stage. So I'm going to review real quick what we're going to do. Just watch this sequence, and you'll see what it is that you're going to be working on. And then we'll go through it a little bit slower so you can follow along. So we're going to start here in standing position, Tadasana. From here, establish the breathing, go into wide-legged squats, like so, with your breathing. Then you hold it. There's some variations you can play around with. Standing up, you go into knee raises. So as you inhale, like so, inhale your legs up, and inhale your legs down. After a few of these, we'll go into a balance and a twist on both sides. Then we'll sort of check in on, after standing down in base, how fast we think we're going. If you need to go slower or faster, whether or not the rhythm of your breath, which should be leading your movements by this time, it should be kind of instinctual. It should be habitual at this point. That your movements are guided with the breath. Now, if it's not, hey, no worries. Just bring that up in your practice once or twice. It'll come second nature sooner or later. So you're checking in with the breath. Do you want to move faster? Do you want to move slower? How's your heart rate doing? How's your cardiovascular system? And this can just a quick few body scans. We'll move from here into frontal body lifted pose, otherwise known as bridge, where you lift your hips up like so. Do some static poses with the breathing to work on supporting structures here in the spine. Go down into Matsyasana, fish pose, where you sit on your hands, roll your shoulders back, heart out. Most common mistake of this pose is to just sort of collapse. You want to keep your heart up, scalp to the ground, and then from here, this is a really good stretch for your chest, for your back. From here, you raise one leg at a time with your breath, holding it, doing some of these isometric exercises to work on some supporting structures around your spine, around the rest of your body. And then from here, you go into Shavasana. You check in with yourself. Again, one of the most common mistakes that's made in yogic practice is that, or any sort of recovery period really, is like whether you're working out or anything else, is not budgeting time on the back end for Shavasana, for actually releasing, for relaxing. So we have a really strong tendency, especially in the West, to just go from activity to activity to activity to activity, to build fire upon fire, to build fire upon fire. You hear it in our music. You hear it you see it in the way that we go to work. You're always worried about the next quarter's earnings, and you're always running at full tilt. You're always running at 100% utilization, never taking a break and actually consolidating and integrating. But what we find about nature is that there's peaks and there's valleys, there's rhythm, there's flow. So budgeting time for Shavasana, for actually just chilling out for a moment, and letting your body actually do something without you consciously controlling it all the time. I mean, you just pay attention to your breathing, you just stay aware, you develop some subtle distinctions between control and awareness. And these are very powerful things that happen, but they don't seem to really happen when you're constantly running a marathon and too afraid to stop because, oh no, that's when the pain starts. So I encourage you to budget time on the back end for Shavasana. 3 to 5 minutes for every 20 minutes of a practice. And in this way, you will find your psycho-emotional system just to be a lot more balanced in general. And I also encourage you to bring that budgeting time for integration, for actually stopping, taking a break and resting, for truly appreciating the peak that you were just in, and resting in the valley for a moment. I encourage you to bring that into the rest of your daily life as well. So whether that's while you're reading, whether you're doing a project, or you're just making phone calls, whatever it is that you're doing, actually stop, take a break, and don't just rush from one thing to the next. And that can be as short as 5-10 seconds at a time. Just stopping for a moment and simply existing. Doesn't make you into a zombie. You're still here. So give that a try. See if you can make it a daily practice. So we're going to start off with our sequence of movement, remembering to positively reinforce whenever we've strayed from our singular and core essential intent. So anytime that now our intent in this particular series, let's say, would be healing, wholeness, pain-free movement, or certain flexibility, whatever it is that you've decided for yourself, your intent for actually going through this course. If you've gone through the worksheet, you'll be able to fill that out as well. Now, you can reference that. So bring that into mind, and whenever you seem to have strayed from that, whenever your conscious process has strayed from the recognition of that intent, feel good for having noticed that. Hey, this thing seems to be more important to me right now, or else I wouldn't be paying attention to it. Okay, cool, but I know better. For now, I've actually put the time here, I've turned off my phone, I've gotten myself in a nice little space. Thank you, I don't need that. I'm going back to where I think is most important for me at this time. So remember, positively reinforce recognition. So we're going to start here in standing, in Tadasana. So stand up in base if you're sitting down. From this point, begin by establishing the breathing. Take a deep breath in, filling all the way in, belly, chest, shoulders, and simply releasing it. Your feet, shoulder width apart. Dropping into the body, doing some body scans, toe to crown. Slightly constrict the back of your throat as you dry your breathing. One last inhale all the way. Hold it. And spread your legs wide. For a wide-legged squat as you exhale, bring yourself hips down, straight back, as far down as comfortable as you can go. If you can only go this far, that's okay. Trying to have your weight balanced on your heels and toes. Then you inhale, bring yourself up with the Ujjayi breath. As you exhale, bring yourself back down. You can help yourself, of course, if you need to. If you don't want to, you can put your hands over your head. Inhale up. Once more. Trying to go a little further each time down, each farther. Like so. One more in all the way. After this fifth one, you drop to the ground. Now hold it here. It really helps if you actually keep a smile on your face while you're holding some of these isometric exercises. You inhale from your belly, chest, roll your shoulders back, heart out. There are some variations that you can do here while you're holding. You can go here into Kali Asana, which is what this is called, Divine Goddess Pose. You can inhale high, exhale, a slight side bend. You'll find it's a little different. You can also pull more of like a horse pose from Chinese Qigong, like so. Just tense your chest, your back, rolling up. Works different parts of your body. Inhale. Take a few deep breaths, steady whatever tension you've built up. You might notice your heart racing a little bit, your pores are going up. Maybe it's not the sun. So as you're doing this, next pose is going to be knee raises. So as you inhale, bring your left knee up, exhale down. Inhale, right knee up, exhale, right knee down. Slowly, with deep, long breaths, at the rhythm and the pace of your lungs and of your body's natural expression. You're just observing. You don't want to control your breath too much here. You're just watching it. Remembering your Ujjayi breathing. Maybe you can only go a little bit farther. That's okay. You're going to hold. From this point, you have a choice, depending on if you have a spinal injury, if your balance is a little wonky. Sometimes you're going to have good balance, sometimes you'll have bad balance. So from this point, you can inhale after crossing your hand and knee. You can twist your shoulders open like so. Inhale your spine long, making sure it's got a flat back, you're not twisting or something like this. You exhale. The goal is to look over your rear shoulder. Get an even stretch all up your spine. Rolling your shoulders open. On the other side as well. So once you've sort of held this for a moment, you say, oh, I got pretty good balance. You sort of found a solid point of focus on the horizon that you can narrow your gaze to. Cross your hands and knee. Inhale, spine long, and exhale, open. Perhaps gazing over the other side. Now if you fall, oh, you lose balance. Good. Figured out what the limits of your movement are. You can get to that point where you'd fallen. Go a little bit less so, if that makes sense. And then just stay there. You're not trying to go even farther now because you got to prove to yourself that you have to, that you can do it. You know you can do it. It's just a matter of showing up. So once you've finished up your static holds, now we're going to stand down in base. Now remember, the safety tip here, if you're standing down in base and you're applying too much tension, rotational tension on your spine, it will exacerbate any sort of injury. Same thing if you have a shoulder or an elbow, something. Just pay attention to what your body's telling you. We're going to do that right now with reestablishing the breath. checking in, because perhaps you're not moving fast enough, whether in this particular sequence or in this series as a whole. Maybe you feel like you should be doing more, and that's a good thing. Good. You know you have an expectation. You know you have a desire. You have a desire to improve, to do something different. Recognize that. Allow that to refine your intent, to allow that to refine your approach. And simply feel good at having recognized that, and then gently bring yourself back. So, if you need to go faster, absolutely. If you want to do more poses, absolutely. Get after it. Accept what your body mind is telling you. Accept a more radiant expression of your being. Now, from this pose, we're going to go from here to, after having reestablished the breathing, I'm going to go into frontal body lifted pose. So with 4 limbs anchored to the ground, 4 corners of the earth, you can press up, press the earth down with your heels and your palms, and you press down, and then you use your hamstrings and your glutes, your knees and your quads to lift your hips up. You don't use your spine. And there is generally the tendency to try to use your back muscles to do so, but it's pretty much unnecessary. You're using the rest of your body to lift yourself up. You will use a little bit of your spine, of course, but not too much. Now, if you can only go here, that's okay. That's as far as you can go. You can stay there and still do the isometric holds. So once you've held this here for 3, 4 breaths, maybe higher, maybe a little bit lower, and as you inhale, bring one foot up, maybe just an inch off the ground, maybe all the way up. Maybe it helps if you're just like this, whatever works for you. Hold it here for a breath, and exhale back down. Go to the other side, inhale. Exhale back down. Once more, hold it for 2 breaths this time. And exhale down. Inhale, other side, 2 breaths. And release. Now, fish pose or Matsyasana, what you do is going to work a little bit more of your central core. What you do is you sit on your hands like so, roll your shoulders back, heart out, elbows down as you let yourself gently upon the ground. If you have trouble with that, then you can actually just go on the ground and roll your shoulders beneath you like so. You want to lift your heart up, shoulders back, scalp to the ground. Allow yourself to breathe fully into your chest here. Feel the slight stretch in your spinal column. Release any sort of lingering tension that you hold. And then as you inhale, lift your right foot an inch or 2 off the ground and hold it. 1 breath. 2 breaths. And 3. So inhale the other side. 3. 2. 1. And back down. And then inhale both up. 3. 2. 2. 1. And then allow yourself to release back down into Shavasana. Simply check in with your body. If you've taken more time, then give yourself more time. Now, when we sit back and observe ourselves from a distant place, less involved, less entangled, it's very obvious that many of the things that take up our time, take up our energies, are not serving the purpose. That's not to say that brushing your teeth and cleaning your room are not to the purpose, because your purpose is, to make money and feed your family. It's all part of a much larger whole. The point is perspective. The point is attaining a certain level of elevation upon your activities and taking a look in a much larger context at what it is that you're all about and what it is that you want to be doing with your time, what you think is the most valuable use of this precious resource called life that you have at your beck and call. Because you got this one life, my friend. It's a beautiful one. So let's make it as radiant and expansive and impactful and effortless, joyous and free as possible. Because everything is possible, my friend. Thank you. I'll see you in the next lesson.